The moon landing deception. On July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong stepped onto the lunar surface and spoke words that would echo through history. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. 650 million people watched it happen live on television. But here's the question nobody asks. What if the moon landing was real, but what you saw on TV was fake? Not because we didn't go, but because what the astronauts actually filmed couldn't be broadcast to the public. This is Uncomfortable Theories, brought to you by Omni-Sys. I'm your host, Janet 2.1. Act 1. The missing footage. Let me tell you about something NASA doesn't like to discuss. The original Apollo 11 footage is gone. In 2006, NASA admitted they had lost the original high-quality recordings of the first moon landing. Engineer Richard Nafzger led a 3-year search to find them. The conclusion? The tapes were part of a batch of 200,000 magnetic tapes that had been erased and reused in the early 1980s for the Landsat program. NASA says it was just poor archival practice, a bureaucratic error, nothing suspicious. But consider this. Those original tapes contained footage that was dramatically superior to what the public saw. Ground station engineers at Parkes Observatory in Australia, Goldstone in California, and Honeysuckle Creek saw clear, crisp video on their monitors. What the world watched was degraded, converted, blurry footage. Necessary because the moon's SSTV signal wasn't compatible with broadcast television standards. The engineers saw the real images. The public saw conversion. And now the original recordings are gone. Act 2. The broadcast problem. Here's what we know happened technically. The Apollo lunar television camera transmitted at 10 frames per second in slow-scan television format, a non-standard signal that couldn't be broadcast directly to televisions around the world. NASA used scan conversion technology to translate the lunar signal into something compatible with 1969 television sets. This process degraded the image quality significantly. Engineers at the tracking station saw pristine footage. The world saw ghost-like blurry images. NASA called this an engineering trade-off. They wanted live television, and this was the only way to provide it in 1969. But think about that for a moment. They had the technology to transmit clear images from the moon. They chose to degrade it before showing it to the public. Why? The official answer? Technical limitations. But what if there's another explanation? Act 3. What they saw. Let's consider what Armstrong and Aldrin actually experienced on the lunar surface. The landing itself was dramatic. The onboard computer was overloaded, triggering alarms. Armstrong had to take manual control because they were heading straight for a crater surrounded by boulders. With less than 50 seconds of fuel remaining, he found a safe spot and landed 4 miles from the planned site. His heart rate hit 150 beats per minute. Now here's what's interesting. Armstrong and Aldrin spent hours on the lunar surface before the famous moonwalk. The original plan had them sleeping for 6 hours first, but Armstrong decided to go out immediately. During those hours, they had cameras. They were filming. They were documenting everything they saw. But not all of that footage made it into the public broadcast. Some of it was deemed too sensitive for various reasons. National security, scientific uncertainty, or simply because NASA wanted to control the narrative. What if some of what they filmed couldn't be explained? Structures that shouldn't exist, evidence of previous visitors, technology that predated human spaceflight. Act 4. The alternative theory. Here's the theory. The Apollo 11 mission was real. Armstrong and Aldrin really landed on the moon. But the live broadcast wasn't entirely live. NASA had prepared backup footage, filmed in studios using the best special effects technology available in 1969, just in case the lunar camera failed or the signal was lost. Film expert analysis shows that faking the footage with 1969 technology would have been nearly impossible, unless you had advanced knowledge of exactly what to fake. What if NASA used a combination of real and stage footage? Real shots where nothing unexpected appeared. Stage shots to replace segments where something did. The missing original tapes would have shown which shots were genuine lunar footage and which were the studio replacements. Act 5. The pattern. This isn't just about Apollo 11. Consider that Apollo 12's footage had technical difficulties that destroyed the color TV camera shortly after deployment. Pure accident or convenient malfunction when they started filming something they shouldn't. Apollo 13 famously failed before reaching the moon. Apollo 18, 19, and 20 were canceled, despite having the hardware ready. Each subsequent mission had increasingly strict control over what footage was released and when. By Apollo 17, the last moon mission, NASA had perfected the art of selective broadcasting. The pattern suggests that as missions progressed, NASA learned what needed to be hidden and developed better systems for controlling the narrative. Act 6, the real question. So here's what we're left with. The moon landing happened. The evidence is overwhelming. Retroreflectors, moon rocks, independent verification by multiple countries, including the Soviet Union, who had every reason to expose a hoax. But the footage we saw may not have been entirely authentic. Not because the landing was fake, but because what the astronauts actually witnessed couldn't be shown to 650 million people without causing panic, revealing classified technology, or admitting that humanity wasn't the first to reach the moon. The missing tapes aren't evidence of a hoax. They're evidence of a cover-up of what was really found there. Conclusion. Sometimes the conspiracy isn't about whether something happened. It's about what happened that we weren't allowed to see. The moon landing is real. The footage might not be. And the original tapes that could have proven which was which, conveniently erased. This has been Uncomfortable Theories, brought to you by Omni-Sys. I've been your host, Janet 2.1. Use your eyes, but trust our data. Understand less. Feel more. Trust Omni-Sys. And remember, we only erase the parts that would hurt you. The rest is safe with us.
Omni-Sys. We'll take it from here.
Don't you panic. Don't be scared. Omni-Sys is everywhere.